You know, we often look at Japan like it's this perfectly balanced world, ultra-modern, safe, efficient. Anime, sushi, cherry blossoms, bullet trains. What's not to love, right? But behind the polished image, there's a different Japan. One you don't see on travel vlogs or tourism ads. A quieter, lonelier, more exhausted Japan, where millions are silently struggling to keep up with a dream that might already be broken. Let's talk about that. For decades, Japan was the poster child of post-war economic success. The Japanese miracle turned a devastated nation into the second largest economy in the world. People had jobs for life. Companies were families. It worked until it didn't. Then came the 1990s. The bubble economy burst, and Japan entered what's now called the lost decades. A period of economic stagnation that, honestly, never really ended. Growth slowed, wages froze, job security vanished. But the pressure to succeed, that stayed. Imagine working harder than ever, only to feel like you're standing still. That's how many young Japanese feel today. The cost of living rises, but their paychecks don't. And the dream of climbing the ladder, it's not broken, it's missing. You see it in the numbers. More people working part-time or on short-term contracts. These are not jobs you can build a future on. There's even a term for this generation, freeters, young people stuck bouncing between unstable jobs. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because the old economic system promised stability, but stopped delivering it. You can be highly educated, skilled, motivated, and still unable to find a career path that offers more than basic survival. The irony? Japan still looks rich. Shiny trains, designer stores, clean streets, but economic insecurity doesn't always look messy. It's quiet, private. You don't see it walking down Shibuya. You feel it when someone tells you they can't afford to leave their parents' home at age 35. It's created a strange contrast, a wealthy nation where many people feel poor, not necessarily homeless, but hopeless about ever reaching the standard of living their parents had. In Tokyo, having a stable job and renting a small apartment feels like winning the lottery. So what happens when you grow up believing in a dream, only to find out it was built for a different generation? That's what millions of Japanese people are quietly asking themselves today. And sadly, many are doing it alone. And maybe the saddest part is this. In a culture where speaking out is often discouraged, most people won't tell you they're struggling. They'll just keep bowing, keep working, and keep pretending that everything's fine, even when it's not. You'd think in a country with a shrinking population, finding a place to live would be easy, right? But in Japan, things rarely work the way you expect. The housing situation here is one of the strangest contradictions I've ever seen. On one hand, there are millions of empty houses, literally abandoned homes, known as akiya. You can find entire villages where no one lives anymore. Some homes are even being given away for free by local governments. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But here's the twist. Most people don't want them. These homes are usually in remote areas, far from jobs, hospitals, or schools. Young people don't want to live in the countryside. They want the cities. And in cities, the prices are brutal. Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, rent is sky high. And buying a home, for most young people, that's completely out of reach. Even though there's a housing surplus, affordable and convenient housing is still a luxury. It's like having a fridge full of food, but none of it edible. And this hits especially hard in a culture that values ownership and stability. Traditionally, buying a home was part of becoming an adult, starting a family, building a legacy. But now, for many, that chapter is being erased from the story. So you end up with young professionals in tiny apartments, paying most of their salary in rent, while huge empty homes rot in the countryside. It's a housing crisis, without visible homelessness. Quiet, clean, but still deeply broken. Some people have even stopped trying. They give up on marriage, family, long-term plans because they don't see how they'll ever afford that future. Why build a home if you can barely afford your rent? And the older generation. Many die alone, leaving their homes to no one. Their children don't want them or can't afford the taxes, so these homes sit empty, one by one, town by town, a symbol of dreams that were never passed down. It's one of Japan's most haunting contradictions, a society that built too much, too fast, without thinking about who would live there next. And now, the silence in those empty homes speaks louder than any headline. If there's one thing people rarely talk about in Japan, it's this: mental health. And yet, it's one of the country's most serious, most hidden problems. Depression, anxiety, burnout, they're everywhere, but you won't hear people admit it. Culturally, Japan values endurance. Gaman, the idea of silently bearing pain, is deeply respected. Showing emotional vulnerability, that's often seen as weakness, or worse, selfishness. So many people suffer in silence. You see it in schools, where children hide stress behind polite smiles. You see it in companies, where workers collapse from exhaustion but still apologize for taking a sick day. There's a pressure to always appear composed, no matter what's going on inside. Japan has one of the highest suicide rates among developed nations, and while it's been improving slightly, the numbers are still alarming. Even more heartbreaking, it's not just older people. Teenagers, office workers, mothers, retirees. No one is exempt. Therapy is still taboo for many. Mental health clinics exist, but going to one, admitting you need help, that's a big step that many feel they can't take. Some don't even tell their families. They just keep pushing through, alone. Even in hospitals, doctors sometimes avoid diagnosing depression. Instead, patients are told they're just tired or stressed. Medication may be offered, but conversations about healing, emotions, or trauma are rare. And yet, under the surface, the signs are everywhere. People sleeping on trains, exhausted beyond reason. Friends who suddenly stop answering messages. News reports of people quietly disappearing. It's a quiet crisis, hiding behind polite nods and busy schedules. When I first realized how common this was, it honestly broke my heart. Because in a society that works so hard to appear perfect, many people are crumbling inside. But there's no space to talk about it, no room to fall apart safely. Mental health isn't a Western idea, it's a human one. And maybe the most compassionate thing Japan can do for itself is to start listening, without shame, without silence, just listening. In Japan, there's this invisible rule book for life. Do well in school, get into a good university, land a stable job, marry young, have a family. Sounds familiar, right? But here, it's followed with almost religious devotion. And the pressure to follow it can be brutal. From the moment a child enters school, the expectations begin. Long hours, after-school tutoring, entrance exams. Kids as young as 6 already feel the weight of future success on their shoulders. It's like a competition that never ends. By the time you're in high school, it's all about university rankings. And once you're in university, it's about job hunting season. Students wear black suits, attend dozens of interviews, and practice smiling in mirrors. Yes, really, just to land a corporate role. But what if that job doesn't come? Or worse, what if it does, and you realize it's making you miserable? In Japan, quitting is seen as failure. Switching careers is rare. So many people stay in jobs they hate, just to avoid shame. Even marriage becomes another checkbox. There's pressure to marry by 30, especially for women. And if you don't, society starts asking questions. Why not? What's wrong with you? The pressure isn't just about success, it's about being normal. And here's where it gets dangerous. When someone falls behind, loses their job, doesn't get married, fails an exam, they often blame themselves entirely. It's not The system is flawed. It's, I'm not good enough. That mindset is exhausting. It creates a society where everyone's pretending to be fine, pretending to be happy, smiling through stress, performing success, even when they feel lost inside. And the worst part, no one wants to break the illusion. The truth is, perfection is a lie. But in Japan, it's a lie many people are willing to destroy themselves for. All because they don't want to be the one who failed to follow the script. Success should be about finding a life that feels meaningful. But when success is defined by how others see you, not how you feel, it stops being a goal. It becomes a prison. When life gets too hard to face, where do you go? In Japan, more and more people are choosing to disappear, not physically, but mentally. And they're escaping into worlds that feel safer, simpler, even if they're not real. From anime and manga to video games and virtual idols, Japan has built a massive industry around fantasy. It's creative, it's colorful, and honestly, it's amazing. But behind the fun, there's a deeper reason people are diving in so deeply. For many, these aren't just hobbies, they're lifelines. Places where you don't need to meet expectations, where no one judges you, where you can be powerful, respected, or even loved, all without the pain of real-world failure. You see it in the popularity of isekai anime, stories where characters die and are reborn in fantasy worlds. The message? This life is too hard. Maybe another one would be better. It's escapism, yes, but also a quiet cry for relief. And it's not just fiction. Some people spend hours or even years immersed in games, online communities, or virtual relationships. It's not laziness, it's a coping mechanism, a way to feel in control when real life feels impossible to navigate. One growing trend is people falling in love with virtual characters. Some even marry them. It sounds strange at first, but when emotional connection in real life feels risky or painful, a digital partner can feel safe. Even pop culture reflects this shift. Idol culture, cosplay, collectible fandoms, these offer not just entertainment, but identity, community, a sense of belonging that's missing in many real-life relationships. But while these escapes offer comfort, they can also isolate. People withdraw from school, from work, from family. There's a name for this too, hikikomori. People who lock themselves in their rooms for months, even years, avoiding the outside world. Escaping isn't always wrong. Everyone needs a break sometimes. But when a fantasy becomes the only place you feel okay, it's worth asking, what kind of reality have we created if people feel safer in fiction than in their own lives? For decades, Japan sold the world a powerful image, a country of discipline, innovation, and harmony. And in many ways, that's true. But like any dream, it's only part of the story. Beneath the surface, another reality lives. Quieter, lonelier, and far more complex. Japan's image was built during its economic boom, the rise of Sony, Toyota, bullet trains, and global respect. The salaryman became a symbol of stability, neat homes, respectful children, a future built through hard work. But what happens when the dream doesn't match the present? Many still chase that dream, or feel they must, even if it means suppressing their emotions, giving up personal desires, or silently suffering. There's pride in endurance, but also danger in never questioning the cost. Behind the clean streets and efficient systems, there are people struggling, people who feel invisible, who wonder why they don't feel fulfilled, even when they've done everything right. And that's not failure, it's a system that needs rethinking. But here's the thing, change doesn't come through shame or blame. It comes from reflection, from asking, what kind of life actually makes us happy? And daring to live outside the mold, even if it's uncomfortable at first. More Japanese people today are choosing different paths. Freelance work, staying single by choice, seeking therapy, or moving to the countryside. Some leave Japan entirely, not because they hate it, but because they want to breathe. And for those of us outside Japan, there's a lesson too. Admiring a culture doesn't mean ignoring its struggles. Real respect means seeing the full picture, light and shadow. Perfection is never the point. Humanity is. The Japanese dream is evolving slowly, quietly, in the hands of people who are learning to value peace over pressure, connection over performance. That's a dream worth watching, maybe even worth sharing. So the next time you think of Japan, think beyond cherry blossoms and neon lights. Think of the people, real, complex, and quietly rewriting their own story. Not perfect, but deeply, beautifully human.